Good afternoon and salam. My name is Dolly Busby and a member of the MACFEST team and a student at the University of Manchester. I'm delighted to welcome you to MACFEST 2021, our special Ramadan event, Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim guests. This afternoon, we are taking you all the way to the Emirates to celebrate the month of fasting, to share a live iftar with you. This is our final event in a series. We've already taken our guests to Morocco, to Casablanca, and last week to Turkey, to Istanbul. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we take you to Dubai. First, we are delighted to introduce our special guest for the day, Nick Bailey. Nick has been a police officer for 32 years, the past 2 years in Greater Manchester Police, having served 30 years in Cheshire Police. He is responsible for special operations, which includes roads policing, armed policing, and public order. In addition, he has responsibility for the operational communication branch, which takes calls from public and radio dispatch. In addition to these responsibilities, he is the chair of Greater Manchester Resilience Forum, and over the past year has been leading a number of strategic and tactical multi-agency groups in response to the COVID pandemic. Thank you, Nick, and over to you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for letting me join your event here at MACFEST. It really is a huge honour for me to join you. And this is, you know, I am just one of several senior police officers who have joined this event in the past. Our previous chief constables, Ian Hopkins, Ian Pilling, our now current deputy chief constable, my boss, Mabs Hussain, sends his apologies today, but certainly there's a lot of history here for supporting this event. And certainly that sort of in no small part is a recognition that our population and communities here in Greater Manchester are very much linked to Muslims who live here, who work here, who visit here frequently. And it's essential for us in Greater Manchester Police that we can work with those communities, we can work with those faiths, and that we represent those faiths. So Greater Manchester Police probably has one of the largest populations of Muslim officers in the United Kingdom. We are really proud of the fact that we are represented, you know, our number 2 person in our force currently is a Muslim officer, and right down virtually at every single rank, we have representation from Muslim officers, and they cover a full range of jobs. But I guess to some degree, this is about my experiences and just sharing some of that about a typical sort of day and experience in Greater Manchester. And I think this week has probably been certainly a busy week. So if I use this week as a sort of typical example of maybe what goes on in Greater Manchester, then you can maybe ask questions in the sidebar, or we can cover some bits. So this week, Greater Manchester is 10 local authorities. It has a population of 3 million people, and it's really diverse, as I've said, with lots of people from all around the world, different faiths in our communities. And so probably going back to last Sunday, significant event, and they're not all good events, are they? So Manchester United is part of our area where we work. And so last week at Manchester United, there was a protest, significant disruption to the footballing event. And if you may have seen it on the news, I'm sure it got round. The fans broke into the stadium, prevented Manchester United playing with Liverpool, and Greater Manchester police officers were there on the front line, and we were coming at times under attack from fans. So that's probably not the nicest event that happens, but it just shows what's happening. And it's really important to put that event last Sunday, because it's influenced an awful lot of what we've done in Greater Manchester Police this week. So this week has got the elections. We had our elections on Thursday for a number of our councils around the country. And here in Greater Manchester, we had our election for our mayor. Our current mayor previously was a man called Andy Burnham. and he was standing for re-election. And Andy Burnham is the Police and Crime Commissioner, so he's the political lead for the police in Greater Manchester. So that was another event that we have been planning for all week, making sure that people are safe, making sure that people can go and vote properly on Thursday when the election took place. But for myself, I've been the force cover. So if something serious happens over the week, then that would be me to take responsibility for. So on the Monday night, it was a bank holiday here, so a public holiday on Monday. And we are still in COVID lockdown regulations. But quite frankly, you would not believe it if you were out on the streets, and anybody would tell you to walk around the streets here. More people have masks on, but there are still lots of traffic around. There's lots of shops open. People are in crowds, but technically we cannot go into each other's houses unless there are particular reasons to do so. We're only allowed to mix in groups of 6 outdoors. But as the police team, we know that different groups choose to meet up and too large a numbers at the moment. So it's really difficult for us at the moment to manage those crowds. So on Monday night, we had our other big football club. I would say the second football team in Manchester, because I'm a United fan, but the other football team, Manchester City, who are looking like they're going to win every trophy. They played on Monday night, Tuesday night, I think it was. And again, their fans decided they wanted to come out and celebrate. So they were a very happy crowd, but really it was a crowd that shouldn't have been there because of COVID. There wasn't a lot of wearing of masks. There was no social distancing. There was lots of flares, but it was generally a happy crowd that came to that game. And that was for the European Cup semi-final against, I'm trying to think who he played now. I can't think who he played, see, but it was, I can't think now, I forgot. But they won that game. They got through to the European Cup final. So a lot of activity there that related to policing. And then this week we have had, Manchester has a lot of really, from a policing perspective, it has a lot of major crime that occurs. So we do have to deal with all of that crime that occurs across Greater Manchester. We have somewhere in the region of 3,000 calls a day to Greater Manchester Police, which we have to respond to. And, you know, it's fair to say that at the moment, Greater Manchester is probably one of the forces under the most scrutiny in the country for the way it performs. And Andy Burnham is holding us to account for the way that we perform. So a lot of activity, a lot of scrutiny going on in the week. The elections occurred on Thursday. They thankfully passed peacefully. Everyone got the chance to vote, and those results for the mayoral vote were announced yesterday, and Andy Burnham was announced as he'd won again. So he remains the Police and Crime Commissioner as well as the Mayor for Greater Manchester. So he will sort of be leading that work as the Mayor and holding Greater Manchester Police to account for the next 3 years in the future. In terms of our operations, from my own perspective, I have specialist operations, so roads policing. So we have traffic cars and we have playing cars who follow people on the roads. I have horses and mounted officers who patrol on horses in certain areas or work in public order where there's disorder. I have police dogs and they're used for all sorts of activities. And then we have various resources that deal with civil contingencies. And that's my other role in Greater Manchester. I am the chair of Greater Manchester Resilience Forum, which is a coming together of all the different agencies, the local authorities, the police, the fire, the ambulance service, the Environment Agency, the Health Service, all come together to prepare in advance for emergencies. So as the chair of that group, it was as that role that when the COVID pandemic began last year, that I was the lead for Greater Manchester's partnership efforts to respond to the COVID pandemic. So the health side respond to their issues, but where we need to provide additional support to any of the agencies, they come through the coordination groups, which I will chair with other council leaders. And so that over the past 12 months has done everything from, be the early stages of getting PPE, masks and the likes last year. We have had the unfortunate task of building a mortuary at very quick pace, thinking that we may have had high numbers of deaths. And thankfully, we didn't have to use that. So that was one blessing. And we have had to deal with making sure that families are getting the right money who haven't been able to go to work. Because what we've seen here in Greater Manchester, we have seen some of the most enduring levels of COVID infection in the United Kingdom. And as with many parts of the world, what we are seeing is that that is related to deprivation, health inequalities, educational inequalities, where families are living together, where there are multiple families who live together and close by, where members of those families who do have to go to work have to actually leave their homes, whereas actually lots of the middle classes can stay at home and work from home, so they're not infected as much. Or all the inequalities that exist, COVID hasn't created them, it has highlighted them even more in terms of those inequalities. So Greater Manchester, whereas lots of the United Kingdom has been able to see infection levels fall significantly, Greater Manchester has maintained always an undercurrent of infection in certain communities. And we've had to work for the past 15 months together just to support those communities. So it's been a really fantastic year of my time here in Greater Manchester Police, meeting everybody, meeting all the communities that exist. And, it is certainly a place that is vibrant. It's a great place to live. And I'm proud to say that we can try and keep it as safe as possible. I'll look in the sidebar and see. So Barbara in Stockport Football Club, it's a giant. It's huge. It's bigger than United and City. Yes, it's not really. It's not. But it is a big football club and people of Stockport love it. So it is a well-supported football club. And I don't really know whether I'm expected to speak longer or...
Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you for joining us and for the detailed information you have provided us about your work and really valuable current time. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you for all that you do. Before I hand over to Sherifa and Rashid, I'd like to encourage you to please follow MACFEST on our social media accounts. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. By following us, you'll be notified on our upcoming events. Now, I'm delighted to introduce you to our two hosts, husband and wife team, Sherifa and Rashid. Sherifa Tamsin is a graduate from the Academy of Live and Recorded Arts, London, and moved to the UAE, where she embraced Islam in 1994. She is the proud mother of an Emirati daughter. Sherifa has spent the last 20 years as manager of the Sheikh Mohammed Centre for Cultural Understanding, and then one of the founders of the Sharjah Centre for Cultural Communication. This provided her with the opportunity to utilize her public speaking skills in cultural understanding and sharing her religion of Islam with tourists and residents of the UAE. Rashid Al Tamimi is a cultural consultant, husband, proud father, grandfather, and project manager. He was previously appointed as Public Relations Manager and Senior Cultural Presenter at the Sheikh Mohammed Centre for Cultural Understanding in 2016. His role in developing and delivering educational programs to enhance understanding of the Emirati culture to a wide range of audiences. Before joining the Sheikh Mohammed Centre for Cultural Understanding, he spent over 23 years in the aviation sector with Emirates Airline and Global Aerospace. His extensive experience has included roles in customer service, cabin crew instruction, operations, TV and radio, marketing and promotion, and training and development. His career has enabled him to connect with all levels of business people when delivering cultural training programs. He has a passion for discovering new cultures, people, travel, and sports. He thrives on being able to communicate and build bridges of understanding with other nationalities. It is an honor to have you both joining us. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
To host you all as well. And I just want to add, before I say Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, to all of you. And welcome to Dubai, to our humble home. It is Man City with Chelsea on the final of the European Cup. Because, you know, we are a footballer here. I know I'm not Man City. I would go further to Man United because it has more history.
It was, yes.
However, if you think about it, it is basically the final, and it is Man City owned by the Sheikh of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mansour, the son of our late father, Sheikh Zayed, the greatest father of the UAE, the founder of the UAE. So welcome to our humble home. And the first thing we're going to say, Assalamu alaikum, or we say in our Emirati accent, marhaba, which is basically hello as well.
Yeah, welcome to our home. For those of you who are not Muslim, I'm going to give you a little bit of a brief Islamically about what's happening here in the life at the moment. At the moment, we are towards the end of Ramadan. We're on our 27th day today. Ramadan, Muslims follow a lunar calendar which consists of 12 months, exactly like the Gregorian calendar, and Ramadan is the 9th month. So we are now in the very final part of Ramadan for us. It's going to either be 29 or 30 days. You may ask why 29 or 30 days. Our months are based on the moon, as I said, the lunar cycle. So we have a new moon, a new month. And then when it becomes the full moon and goes into the new eclipse of the new moon again, we know that the month is coming to an end. For Muslims here, we follow Saudi Arabia. They have a moon sighting committee. We also have a moon sighting committee here. So this is how we decide when our month will begin. For other Muslims around the world, I know in Manchester, you might not necessarily have a moon sighting committee, but you will speak to someone who's a learned person from the community. So sometimes I've noted that Indonesia might be one day behind the UAE, or sometimes UK. Your weather's not as great as us. It's probably clearer to sight the moon on time here. But this is where we are, 27th. So we're in the last 10 days, which are special days for us. This month is a month of giving, and fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam that's prescribed for all Muslims around the world. For Muslims, we believe in only one God. This is our first pillar of Islam. Our second pillar is prayer. We pray 5 times a day. Our third pillar is fasting or charity. We have to give an annual charity of 2.5% to any of those that are poor and needy. And then of course fasting for the 4th pillar for us. And our 5th pillar is Hajj, which is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to Mecca to perform our pilgrimage. In this month of Ramadan, there are categories of Muslims fasting and some Muslims are not fasting. You are prescribed to fast. It is in our Quran, our Holy Quran, it is mentioned that this is the month for all Muslims to fast. However, if you are a small baby or a small child, it's not necessary for you to fast. If you are sick or ill, you are not required to fast. If you were mentally challenged, you had a difficulty, like you had a mental age of being someone younger, it is not prescribed on you to fast. Allah doesn't, he doesn't want you to fast if it's going to make you ill. So if you were on medication for something that was like leukemia or something, you are allowed not to fast. And for women, if you are pregnant, you are not required to fast, or if you're breastfeeding. However, some women do choose to do it, but if they become poorly or they're not feeling right, they can stop. It's not required. And anything that we miss if we were traveling now, we could break our fast. These days we can make up after the month of Ramadan has completed, after the Eid. Here now in Dubai, life is very different since COVID, as Nick was saying earlier. Last year we had our Ramadan and it was very, very restricted. All our mosques were closed. So we could not go to the mosque to pray, to perform the Ramadan prayers, which was very sad for us because it's a wonderful month for everybody and the community being together, visiting each other. And it was very different here. The life was very different. This year, however, some of the restrictions have been lifted because of COVID. The mosques are now open. We can go to the mosque, but we have a 2-meter social distancing in place. So we no longer pray shoulder to shoulder in lines at the mosque. And we are only allowed to go for a 30-minute period. So the imams, the person who's leading the prayer at the mosque, they've all been instructed by the Islamic part of the section of the government here to follow these guidelines in place to keep us all safe and well. When it comes to regarding to mixing as families, there are some restrictions on that. We are not allowed to mix more than 20 people. If you're a family, of course, we keep the social distancing in place. So perhaps we're not kissing and greeting each other as we did before. But the UAE government has been very, very good in implementing a vaccination program. So we are, I think, following close behind UK. I think UK is number 1. I think we might be number 2 or 3 now with our vaccination program.
11 million plus.
Yeah. Rashid's had his vaccination. I haven't. Whoops. I'm doing mine after Ramadan.
So from 13.5 million, almost 11 million and a half have already vaccinated in the whole of the UAE. It's the 7 Emirates.
With life in Ramadan, before it was a little bit different. There's lots of changes in the culture. We used to have Ramadan night fairs. You know, you could go out in the evening. There would be places to gather after you've had your iftar with your family, or you could go to a hotel and have an iftar buffet. Obviously, buffets have been cancelled. There's new ways of doing the buffet and letting them serve you the food from the buffet. Restaurants used to be closed in the day, all curtained off so that the Muslim community didn't see. But because we are such a diverse, multicultural community, our sheikhs here and our leaders, they've decided that now you can actually eat and drink in public. So for me, when we were out the other day, we could see everybody eating, but you know, it's fine with us. We don't mind because we are hugely diverse. Even our neighbors here beside us on our house, they're all from different nationalities. So when they were sharing Christmas with us, they were sending us our gifts. And then now when it's Ramadan, we're explaining to them about the culture because it's a beautiful environment to be in, such a multicultural place. Now, coming to our house today and the Majlis, we are sitting downstairs in our sitting room. We've changed things around a bit because we wanted to show you what it would be like traditionally to eat and where we would sit on the floor. This is something that's in the Emirati culture. We tend to sit on the floor. So bear with us when we are giving the presentation because I will be swiveling that laptop to show the seating area where we sit on the floor to eat. And then we're going to give you a little bit of idea about the national dress, which I'll go into details later on. So we will move the camera again. And the Adhan here will be at 6:57, which is exactly in 30 minutes in the UK time. I will swivel the camera on the laptop so that you can see the cannon fired here in the UAE at that time. I'm now going to hand over to Rashid. It's his turn to talk, and he's going to tell you that no home or office is without
the Arabic coffee. That is our welcome drink, definitely. Once again, welcome to our humble home, and Ramadan Mubarak. A lot of people we hear around the world, we always use the word Ramadan Kareem, which is basically, if you go to the real detail where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he used to say always Baraku, just like Eid, Eid Mubarak. So they always say Baraku, then saying Ramadan Kareem. But a lot of people have followed the Kareem, so it became a signature all around the world. So I would say to you, Ramadan Mubarak. Of course, there is no home you visit in the UAE or in the Gulf or in the Middle East, the Arabs or the Bedouins places, without the Arabic coffee. This is our welcome drink. This is when you come to me straight away without talking to you. Hi, Nick. Hi, everyone. The first thing I'm going to come, Arabic coffee. And usually people will never say no to the Arabic coffee. Of course, we serve it in finyan. This cup itself, if you look at it, it is not that big. So don't think that we are not generous. However, if you think about it, it is all about hospitality, to serve you once, twice, thrice. And usually we serve it half or less than a half. Why is it so? So we can serve you second round, third round. And there is a technique and there is a culture of how to serve it. Usually if you come to our home, the youngest member of the family, he's the one who's going to serve you. Why is it so? This is the question that you always ask us. How do you maintain your culture and heritage, especially in the UAE, when we are the only country in the world proud to say that we have over 200 nationality living along with us. Yes, this is a Muslim country, we are proud. This is an Arabic country, we are proud. However, we have to also consider the other religion and culture who lives in the UAE. So we have mosques here, we have churches, we have temples, we have synagogue. Lakum dinukum walana din. So everybody can live together as one. And that's why we get along together, and that's why we always celebrate together and everything. So basically, when we come to our house as an Arab or Bedouin, and today we didn't have like typical my parents' house, the Arabic seating on the floor, because we are now living a little bit in the modern side. So we'll go with Arabic coffee, and usually the coffee pot is always going to be on the left. We never serve it on the right. We never serve on the left hand, and that is part of our culture. It is also as a hygiene, as a respect, we always go with the right. Even when we serve you, we never go start to the left unless the person in the Majlis or anywhere is the elderly or His Excellency or his king or
VIP.
someone VIP, that we always go serve him to the left. But usually we always start from the right all the way around till we finish. So when we come and serve you, if you come to our house, the first thing you're going to do is basically, okay,
he's going to serve me now. This is unusual.
Usually I wouldn't be sitting, all right, I'll be standing and serving it. As I said earlier, it's the youngest, so we can teach them and to let them keep the same culture and heritage no matter where we are. We always have the eye contact, and of course, and you see us, we'll make the sound as well. All right, and I will serve that. Don't drink it, please, because
I'm
it's still
fasting, so I can't.
We are both
this is for demonstration purposes only.
All right, you cannot see that much, but you can see it's less than the half of the cup, and I always serve it on the right. So she start having the Arabic coffee, and she's not. Don't drink it, please.
Thank you.
Don't forget, because I would forget. All right, that is our favorite. We cannot help ourselves. And of course, we would be standing, waiting for them till they shake the cup. So if you don't shake the cup to give me back the cup, I will serve you till tomorrow morning.
So I'm shaking the cup.
So whenever you shake, there is a way we serve you on the right, and as well, we have to shake the cup with that to say that you've done. And we can go to the other one, and that she's finished already. Not only that, as well, think logically. The cup itself, it doesn't have a handle. So basically the hot is always piping hot. So if I serve you If I put it more than the half, the whole cup's going to be very hot, so you won't be able also to hold the cup. So that's why it's important that we serve it. And in this cup, we put the line to show you this is the way. Some of the culture or the tribal, like us, I'm a tribal, no matter how modern we are. And today I'm wearing the tribal style with the Hamdani, and I'm going to talk about it later on. You have the cup less than the line, and basically when we serve it in the older days, if you didn't want the guests to come to your Majlis or your home, we basically diplomatically around the people around, we don't say to them, please get out or you're not welcome here. We would fill the cup half, more than the half, so they would know automatically you're not welcome. All right, so it's very interesting because a lot of people doesn't know. They just drink the Arabic coffee and they go with the left hand, and it's always we go with the right, even when we shake our hand with the right, and we always respect as the right hand. It's very important, and that's why in the older days before the oil, even the sheikhs, when they had some agreement with the other merchants from different advanced country than here, they basically given the man hand or word that they will repay them for whatever they want later on, because most of them, we didn't have oil at that time. We are only depending on pearling. And if you have any question later about pearling or anything, I'll be around. So now you know about the Arabic coffee. But let's not forget the most important thing is the dates. Does anybody knows about the Arabic coffee, where it comes? Basically, a lot of people think it's Ethiopia, and yes, they found the coffee in Ethiopia, but the first country that they made the Arabic coffee, it is in Makka in Yemen. So a lot of people cannot pronounce the word Makka, so the word became mocha. So now you know. Coffee. So now you know where you get your mocha cafe from Starbucks. Can I have mocha cafe, mochaccino, so on? It is related to Makka in Yemen, where they found the first coffee beans. They had it, they add some spices like the cardamom and the clove, and they basically made the Arabic with the boiling water. And now these days you have that.
You can buy it ready-made. This Rashid's mother purchased for me very kindly. This has got a combination of cardamom and saffron in it. From each Gulf country, they have a slightly different recipe. I prefer the Arabic coffee from Saudi. It's a lot lighter. Here it's a little bit heavier. But this is your ready-made that you can buy from the roastery here.
So you just boil it to the extreme, and then you can just put it on the pot. If you noticed here, this is the Arabic dates. Does anybody knows how many dates we have? Actually, in the UAE itself, we have more than 150 type of dates. So dates are enormously everywhere in this Gulf, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait. We are very, very famous with the dates, and this is one of our famous. We like to break this one with the iftar. And we're going to demonstrate that one later on when we're going to break our fast. We're going to say dua, and basically we're going to have the date and the qahwa or the laban or the water, just because the whole day we haven't eaten anything or drank anything. So now you know about the dates and how many type of dates we have around here. And this is one of the oldest pots. This is antique, more than 80 years old. That's why it's
beaten up.
Beaten up, as they say. But usually this one, this is the real deal, as we say. We put the fire on, and we're going to put it on the side in the desert. Once it gets really hot, boiling, then we put it in a smaller one, and then we're going to serve it to our elder, like grandfather or VIPs or anyone.
And this is the modern day, because it's actually a thermos inside, so it's still going to be hot for us to drink later.
Definitely. And please, you can ask us any question later on about any, there is no such a thing that's offending or anything. If you don't ask, you won't learn. And that's why we are here to answer your questions. So now I'll leave you back to Sherifa, and she's just moving things around. And hopefully then we're going to, she's doing all the props here.
So we're going to show you where we are going to be eating our food, which is here. Sorry for the swivel. I hope you can see all clearly. and my husband Rashid is going to show you all the food on the floor. Now, you say, oh, we're sitting on the floor. Why are we sitting on the floor? One thing to note that when you go into a Muslim family home, we do not wear our shoes in the house. It's we remove our shoes. So inside the house, there's no shoes worn at all, just slippers. So it's clean, a clean place for us to sit. We put down this is the modern day plastic sheeting that we put down. Or some people have like a sefra, which is a mat with a layer on the top. And if we were gathering for a family, depending where you sit, see, I would always sit next to my husband. He's my mahram. I would not sit between my husband's brothers. This is part of the culture again and a guideline. So if my brother-in-law was here now, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law would sit opposite with his wife. Or if it was a bigger gathering, which we can't have with the COVID going on, maybe all the boys and the husbands would sit down one side and the ladies and the sisters would sit on the other side, depending from family to family. Now my husband's going to go through the food. I have put this dish here, the big one at the back, purely as display purposes. It's actually empty, but it looks nice. But this is for you to see that if we were having a big gathering, this would be full with the majlis or the biryani. Now my husband's going to introduce the foods and tell you about what's his favorites on here.
Yes, once again, I'm back here. You put it too much. It's
okay.
All right. And of course, this is one of our favorite dishes. It's rice. It's called machbous. Similar to the biryani, right? However, we like it, we call it machbous. We do it with the different spices. That's why it has one color of the rice. And of course, our Emirati food or even the Gulf food is usually mild. It's not spicy. However, if you want, you can always spice it up with some, thanks to our Indian or Pakistani or other nationality Asian, they introduce for us the achar, and they give us the spice, the dakos, which is we're gonna have, like Tabasco, as you say.
It's the British version of tomato sauce. It's a must at the dinner table here.
Definitely. So we have the machbous, it is lamb machbous, and of course this is empty. Usually we put something there, and we have some of the salad. This is jarjir that we like to grow in the farms here and everything.
And spinach leaves,
yeah.
Translation.
Absolutely. And for us also very famous is the haris. If you notice, this haris is very, very famous here. Why is it so? For English, especially from the UK and European, they always, when they take pictures, they always say cheese. They're always famous with the word cheese. For us, we say haris. So now we know what we're talking about. All right, and it's basically, what is it? You want to tell them?
Haris, it takes hours and hours to cook. A lot of, I don't make it myself, it takes too long. But what we have is we actually have kitchens here where they will, especially in Ramadan, it's something that's served at weddings or during Ramadan. I would call it like a kind of gruel. It's like a porridge consistency. And it's basically from the meat of the lamb or the goat that's slaughtered, and it's boiled and boiled and boiled and boiled and boiled so that it becomes very, very soft, and they put in wheat with it. So it's quite heavy, and they serve it with a ghee oil on top, but it's a firm favorite dish. It's like the shepherd's pie of UK or your fish and chips. Haris is a popular Emirati dish, and again, eaten mostly across the Gulf.
You're making us hungry now, aren't you?
You've got to wait.
What is that?
This is madruba. It's similar to haris. This is chicken as well, and it's a mix chicken with some rice and what else? They add the ghee and everything.
Ghee again and spices.
So similar to the haris, but it's with the chicken. It's very famous in this area, and usually the grandmother will start beating it she will hit in the big pots outside for hours and hours.
Like this.
Wow.
Yeah, for hours and hours. It's very famous here in the whole Gulf area. You tell them haris is very famous. If you go to Morocco, to Algeria, and other countries, the Arabian countries, Dwal al-Maghrib al-Arabiya that we call them, they have another haris that is spice. It's like the Tabasco. They make it at home. So don't get confused between our haris and their haris as well. But they both taste very well. Of course, mild. She would beat it a lot. Not like Michael Jackson beat it, but our grandmother beat it.
Thank you.
Then, of course, we have fresh fruit. It's always very popular for our iftar time. And a salad.
It's very simple and
very simple. For us, if you were going to a family gathering, you will tend to find that we will have this food after we perform the Maghrib prayer. But for me and Rashid at home now, at the time of breaking fast, we just tend to break our fast with some water and dates. We have a cup of laban. We will pray the Maghrib prayer, and then we come back and we may have soup and samosas. But for me, I don't like to eat so much after I've broken my fast. So I tend to eat it a little bit later. So we'll probably have this about 9:30 tonight. So in fact, it's gone cold. So I'll be reheating everything later on, but we wanted to show you for display purposes today. So for us, we're going to be just breaking our fast with lentil soup, which is a favorite here across, again, the Arabic countries. It's nice and light and healthy, and our dates, laban, and water, and samosas. The samosas, we have our Emirati samosas. They can be chicken or lamb. We put cheese in or potato. I tend to prepare them before Ramadan because they are a staple part of the menu during Ramadan. So because they're a little bit fiddly and take time to make, and homemade is always best, I make them before Ramadan, so I prepare all of the mixture inside, and then I spend a whole day making triangle parcels, folding them up, and then freezing them into batches and labeling them so that I can just take them out at the time. So it takes a little bit of the work off me with preparing the food before iftar. I haven't got my phone here, so I need a time check.
Still, we have another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to move back round.
No, let me sit down and tell them about the seating and the eating. There is also, this is called sifra. If you come to us in the Gulf area, I'm talking about general, the whole Gulf, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman. Usually there is no borders between us. That's why you find my family name in all the Gulf and all in the Middle East, the same family name, because we are tribal. No matter what modern we became, this country became rich. Who doesn't have a past will never have a future. That's what we believe in. And basically, if you think logically, we are all tribal. So I have an uncle in Saudi Arabia, I have an uncle in Qatar, I have auntie in Bahrain, I have auntie in Oman, because there's no borders, so they used to get married to each other. For example, I have an uncle who's merchant who went in the 1950 to Qatar, and he got married there and he settled, so he became Qatari. And I have the same, that most of the Arabs in this region, or most of the Arabs, their origin are either from Saudi Arabia, or all of us, we come back to Saudi Arabia, or from Yemen, but mostly from Mecca or from Saudi Arabia. This is one of the things. This is the sifra. This is our dining table. This is the way how we sit down. There are some people, we will sit down like that. All right. And there are some people like our elder parents or grandmother and everything, we respect them, so they can sit down on the chair and we're going to serve them there, or they're going to be so close to us in a higher table, dining table, like this one, for example, and they will have their food. When we say Bismillah, in the name of God, we start, and when we finish, we always have Alhamdulillah. This is very important for us to say, to respect the food in front of you by saying in the name of God. So when we start eating or even drinking water or anything, we always say Bismillah. Or whenever we finish, we always say Alhamdulillah. And who forgot to say Bismillah, they can always say later on, Bismillah min awwal ila akhir, and they can continue. For us also to eat, and she likes to come and block whoever. Sorry. I'm joking. We usually eat with our hand. Think logically, we didn't have in the older days, during Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jesus, Moses' time, they didn't have cutlery and everything. Everything was by hand. So that's why we say the right hand. Why? There is something that mentions also in the Quran that, or scientifically that they say, especially in America, they found out that in the hand itself, it has some enzymes or enzymes that goes out from this hand that goes with the food, helps to digest the food in your stomach. So it was a relief about that. Also eating with our hand, as I said, shaking and eating. So we eat with our 5 hands exactly, and we eat with our hand. Of course, now we have cutleries, life have changed. However, when it comes to tradition or family and we are all together, we like to eat that. And I know most of the expats who live here, and I've been hosting before or knowing, they love it and they love the experience of eating with their hands. I think she wants to say something.
Yeah, I brought you here the meshbous and a lot of the cooking here. Spices is a very big thing in the food here. We have an enormous spice soup with a lot of beautiful fresh spices that are imported from India, Pakistan, etc., and across the world. So they have a special recipe here. This is, again, my mother-in-law. Thank you, mother-in-law, Mama Fatima. This is called bazaar. And it's basically a combination of spices. It's got like turmeric in it. It's like the local masala. When you've got your garam masala for the Pakistani or the Indian cuisine. So our meshbous is a little bit different to the biryani. It's maybe a little bit milder, maybe not as spicy. But this has got like coriander in it, cumin, turmeric, and etc. And you can buy it, again, ready-made. But of course, a lot of homes, they like to start from scratch and they follow their grandmother's recipe, but depending on which one they may add a little bit more or take a little bit more from. So that is it, bazaar. I'm advertising here. We should have got them to sponsor. At this point, because I'm looking at the time, we've got 7 minutes until the Adhan, so I'm going to swivel the camera again, and Rashid's going to show you how he will wash to pray. Before we pray, it is important for us to be in a state of purity, so we perform a ritual wash before all of our daily prayers, because I liken it to that if you were going for a job interview, you're going to look your best, wearing clean clothes, nice and smart, what have you. We are putting ourselves before God. It's our time of communication when we're, I mean, you have your Sunday best, I think my grandmother used to say when she'd go to church, where you used to put your hat on, etc. So for us, when we wanted to go and pray, it's a similar liking, I guess, with the culture. We will be washed, we will be cleaned, and we will put like a prayer shayla on, etc., so that we can do our worship. So I'm going to turn the camera, and you can watch Rashid now get ready with his wash. Yeah. Yes, and there's some there in the jar for you.
It's water for it.
That's for your feet.
But I have to do it on this way because I don't want to show.
Now, obviously, we would do this in the mosque. They have an ablution area, an area to wash. But obviously, we are doing this at home for purposes of you, and I didn't want to navigate into the bathroom with the sink and everything. So we're doing it in a bowl for you to see how Rashid, and he'll explain as he's doing it to you.
So basically, this is how this is the simplest way we usually do our wash or wudu ablution and the toilets. So we have proper place, but because for you to all see, so we've got this bowl and everything, and basically I like this bottle. She put that in
IKEA.
IKEA. Ladies, excuse me. So basically, I like to joke, you know, because if you're serious, you'll never pass the message. But if you're open-minded and everything, and this is why we are very lucky here that we have more than 200 nationalities. We have friends from all over the world, which also made us who we are today, with us understanding, open mind and everything, also with respect. So we have 5 minutes before the Adhan. Usually you have to come now and do the wudu. You have to pour for me the water, yeah, because you want me to do that. So you have to be part of it.
I'm going to help him.
So she's going to help me. I'm going to have to wash my hand slowly, yeah, just slowly, a little bit before. Yeah. So this is how we wash our hands first, and then she put a little bit. So basically, we don't drink it. We just can explain as well.
Yeah, rinse the mouth clean.
Okay.
Then we will wash and make ghusl, as we say, in the nose 3 times.
Okay. Then that, you go 3 times with a full face, the whole face, the whole hand goes all over your face 3 times. All right, then you go a little bit all over, hold just 3 times. A little bit just with once, you can do that 3 times. All right, then we can go with the left.
So yeah, up to the elbow 3 times.
Right.
People ask why 3 times. There's not for a specific reason. This is just the sunnah that's given to us from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to wash with the 3 times.
And of course, if you miss any areas that you haven't touched it with water, so that's why the second time to make sure that you've touched it, 3rd time to double check that you've touched that area. So that's why we do it 3 times. All right, so now hand that we did our head 1 time and our ears. Now we will go with our feet, which is this position now. A bit
difficult.
Okay, we did wash our feet properly. All right.
If we were in the circumstance that we were traveling in the desert now in the olden days and water was vital for us, you can do a dry ablution. So there's a way to do this process, but by striking the ground and cleaning your hands actually with the sand. So this is the wudu complete. At this point, I'm going to put you on Dubai TV now, yes, where you're going to see the military police coming to do the cannon, which is the firing of the cannon. And whilst that's on, you can watch it, you can see the cannon go off, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of the history.
Thank you so much, Sherifa and Rashid, for your demonstration and for your explanations. It was really useful.
Thank you. Now, I've got you focused, I think, for the TV. Now, can you see that clearly?
Yeah, yes, we can.
So this is the TV channel. As you know, we're 7 Emirates here. So in each,
is this clear?
Yes, I think it's clear as we can make it. In each Emirate at this time, we all have the Adhan going off at a slightly different time. So we are 6:57. Abu Dhabi will be about 1 or 2 minutes behind us. So this cannon is the significance of firing and letting everybody know it's time to break fast. When that happens, then all of the mosques will then do the call for prayer, which Rashid will explain the call for prayer for you. And it will be on all the different channels. So you have Abu Dhabi channel, Dubai channel, Sharjah channel, just about 1 or 2 minutes difference between us, because obviously our sunset's different. Yeah. There you go. So now we will say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And you will now see the call for prayer. And Rashid. Well, I will let him break his fast and then he will explain.
After the Adhan.
This is laban, which we will break our fast with.
We do the dua first before we have. We'll come back to you once Adhan finished. We can talk about that better for the
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه اللهم المقام المحمود الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد اللهم يا حي يا رب.
So, we're back with you behind the scenes.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful to join you for that.
We were having our dates behind the scene whispering. I hope we weren't disturbing you. But out of respect, when the call for prayer is going, we don't like to talk over it, and we will be making a dua, thanking Allah, for what we have been blessed with, and that we are breaking her fast, etc. And I will let now Rashid explain to you a little bit. He's going to pray in a moment, so he'll just tell you what the call for prayer was in very simple English. And then I'm going to turn the camera and you'll see Rashid pray. I'm not going to pray, obviously, as a woman. Here in the mosques, we have a separate prayer hall from the men, or we pray behind a screen. Our praying involves a standing, bowing position, and then we go into full rak'ah, where we place our head in humility in front of Allah on the ground. So I don't want to be doing my bending and bowing, etc. in front, but Rashid will show you.
I will do the prayer, and you explain what's the call of the prayer. So at least we have.
If Rashid's going to be there to pray, I've set the sajada here on the ground. Now, as Muslims, as I said, we pray 5 times a day, and each time we pray, there are a different number of rak'ahs. So that's a standing, bowing, and then full prostration with our head on the ground. So in the morning, we do 2 rak'ah, midday 4, afternoon 4. Now at Maghrib time, we pray 3 rak'ah, and then later on, we will pray 4 rak'ah for Isha.
It's not clear. Put it properly. So
Yeah.
I'll see, yes.
I hope you can see this clearly. So we start our prayer with the intention, and we say Allah Akbar.
أدغام الصلاة أدغام الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله سمع الله والحمد الله أكبر. الله 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 أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله سمع الله حمده. الله 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 أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
So Rashid's just completed praying 3 rak'ah. I want to also mention that in the month of Ramadan, we have extra prayers that we pray. These are called Taraweeh Prayer. So when we do our Isha prayer, which is a little bit later on, around 8:12, I think at the moment, directly after the Isha prayer, we do what we call a Taraweeh prayer, which is an extra worship done all throughout the month of Ramadan. So if you live near a mosque in Manchester or somewhere, you'll probably hear it's very active, etc. I don't know about with the COVID times, maybe there's some restrictions there like there is here, but we will go to the mosque and they will pray 8 rak'ah after the 4 rak'ah, which is the evening prayer, plus a witr prayer, which is another 3. Now in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, we have a special night. It's called Layla al-Qadr, which translates as the night of power. And this is in reference to when the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, through Allah, through the angel Gabriel, or Jibreel, as we would say here. So in these last 10 nights, some mosques schedule the prayer at 12, some schedule it maybe at 1, but now it's actually fixed on 12 for us during COVID, and they have half an hour for the prayer. But some mosques might go longer, you will pray more rak'ah, but we are fixed on the 8 rak'ah for the evening late night prayer. They call it Tajahud prayer. So they say that worship on this night is like worshipping better than 1,000 nights you could choose. You get like when we're giving worship and you're praying and you're making dua for your family and for those in need, etc., the reward from these prayers, it's I think it's 83. It's like praying 83 years, if I can remember. I'm a little bit brain fog still, eating all my food, but it's all focused on worshipping in this month for us now. I'm going to let Rashid talk to you about the national dress shortly, because I need to pray as well. And we're going to, or I'm going to do the national dress. Okay, I'm going to do the national dress first. One moment. Okay. Okay, now I want to show you, this here is the traditional dress for Emirati ladies. Now, in the older generation, they would do this, wear this dress. It's called tali. It has embroidery down the front and here on the cuffs, on the sleeves. This would be done by hand. The younger generation don't tend to do or wear this so much now. They're wearing a lot more simpler. We've got Mango here, we've got Next, we've got all the shops. So being fashion underneath your abaya is all the rage. But this is what would traditionally be worn in the house. If you see today, also my dress has embroidery here along the front. So this is what I would wear as comfort around the house. Doesn't do anything for my waistline though, because you get lazy. Because if I was wearing my jeans or something else, it's fun, makes me hold myself in, but you can get a bit lazy with these loose clothing. Here you will see this. This is what we call a burqa. It's got crystals on it. It's a little bit fancy, this one. Rashid's grandma, she would have worn this. Very traditional for the face covering here. Why would they have worn this? If you think about the life in the past, no roads, traveling from one emirate to another by camel, several hours, severe, very, very hot, harsh heat and sun. As the sun would come down, if you look at the areas of face that this covers, where do you get sunburnt when you're outside? You get burnt down your nose and across the tops of your cheeks. So if I had this on and I had, say, like, I'm going to try and put my black shayla on here on my own, but if I had a shayla over the top like this, and I would be protecting myself from the sun. Do you know what I mean? Shading myself. This now is not really worn by the young generation. It's only the very, very elderly ladies that tend to wear this now. But yes, they've come up with some funky designs. So I found this one, it's a little bit of fun. It's got some Swarovski crystals on it. So it's a little bit more with it in the younger age. People think, what is it made of? Is it made of metal? Because it looks like it is and that it's hard. actually, it's not. It's made from a fabric, and they use something called Neil. It's like a blue dye, indigo. So you will see with the old ladies, if they lift this up or remove it, sometimes you'll see they have a blue mark on their nose or something like that. But this is what is worn by the older generation. Then obviously we have the traditional niqab here. Again, this is a choice of the women. Some women choose to cover their face and some women don't. Here, typically in the Emirates, I've got a house shayla on now, which is made from cotton, but other women would be wearing a black shayla when we're going outside. And this is a black abaya I've brought you here. If I can stand up and show you. Now, this is a very traditional one. As you can see, it's just a plain cloth. This is very old-fashioned. Now the abayas are much more decorative. They have sleeves. Some of them have batwing. They have embroidery on the edges, etc. So it's different. But this is something, again, for maybe Rashid's grandmother's age group, they would wear. They put their shayla. You'll see them where they have their burqa on, and you won't recognize them. But you can see it covers the shape and the form of the woman. So the idea when we dress, it's about dressing modestly here. And the same for the men, as you see. And the clothing here also suited the environment before when they're in the desert, because I can think of nothing worse than wearing tight jeans and a top and a jumper and lots of clothes and seams. If you think about the environment here, the heat, the traveling, the sitting down on the floor when there were Bedouins before, and sitting in a certain way, this kept the modesty for the people. So it makes a lot of sense. And anything that you'd like to ask, my husband's going to cover national dress. I would also quickly mention some perfumes. Can you pass me the perfume? Something that's very important here is smelling nice and perfumes. So we have traditional perfumes, which my husband's bringing me over.
Thank you so much, Sherifa. That was a wonderful demonstration, mashallah. I learned so much. Fascinating.
I'm working on speeding time. Now, every majlis you go to, they will always have, or if you go to a wedding, they will have beautiful perfumes and bakhoor and oud. When we cook, a lot of Emirati houses have the kitchen area outside. So because the food's spicy, it can tend to permeate through the house. So we use something called bakhoor. We put some charcoal in and we get these little tablets and we burn the bakhoor, or we use something called laban, which I have here. I don't know if you can see it very clearly. It's like a sticky sort of frankincense here. Now, it's fashionable now. They're doing it with saffron. They're infusing it with lavender. This was a lavender one. So if I've made fish or something spicy in the home, or because we have our kitchen inside the house here, I would tend to use this after cooking to clear the air. And then if I had visitors today, I will be putting a little charcoal tablet in this little cup here. And before my visitors leave, I'll be putting some oud. This is a little piece of wood. We call it oud, and it's from the tree. It's very expensive. They sell it in small towers. It actually comes from like Cambodia. So whenever we travel to Thailand or Cambodia, we tend to buy it there because it's a lot cheaper than here, because there's different qualities of it. But it's got a beautiful scent to it, and it perfumes all of the clothes. And you will move around much like you do with the coffee in the majlis, even for the men. And they will lift, the ladies will do this. We will lift our abayas, we will put it underneath. We will lift our shaylas like this to perfume our shaylas. And the same for the men. And then this is a bottle of oud perfume as well. These all different mixes in here. They can be quite heavy. They're heavy-based oil perfumes. Why is that? If you think again with the heat, you put just a tiny bit of this perfume on and you put it on your wrists and here, like the musk, the smell stays. It stays for a long time. So it makes you smell fresh. But whenever someone comes with this, around the Majlis towards the end of the evening is normally a signal that it's the closing of the time for people to go. But I'm not hinting that on you right now. I'm just filling time while Rashid's quickly eating. We're going to swap over. Now Rashid's going to explain the national address. He's going to come here, or you're going to do it there. So, and I'm going to go and pray.
Thank you so much, Sherifa. Well done, mashallah.
So am I clear for you guys all? First
Yes,
of all,
we are.
one of the questions we always ask is, why men wear white? Why women wear black? Of course, as she said earlier, I mentioned about the woman abaya, it is more about modesty. White as well for man, it's peace and everything. However, for information, before the 70s, we never used to wear white, especially in the region here, the Gulf region, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, UAE. We used to wear different colors. We never wear white. Very few of us wear white. Why? Because we had tribal wars. And because of tribal wars, we had to used to dye them according to the sand dune where we used to live, as a camouflage for our enemies not to spot us. That's why we have different colors, and these colors came out. And I'll show you one of my favorite Kandora. This is my blue or black Kandora. I wear it for occasions, presentations, or any meetings or something. This is like official as well. Even the white, which is, we all love to wear the white as well. I know most of you noticed in the UAE, we wear the tarbusha all the time. UAE and Oman, we wear Kandora. We call it Kandora, and of course the Omani have it short, the Emirati have it long. There's a story behind it. They used to say the mothers, one second. They used to say the mothers and the wives, they used to knit it for their husbands. Why? Because we had the fishermen who used to go for the pearling season 3-4 months away from their families, or the Bedouin who travel from area to areas to Saudi Arabia, take them 1 month going, 1 month staying, 1 month coming. So it's almost 3 months or 4 months away from their family. So she used to do it, knit it by her hand, dip it on the perfume that she showed you, Sherifa, earlier, and the perfume, and it's strong. So whenever the husband on his journeys, either by the sea or by the desert, missing his home, his family, his children, sitting there alone, he smells it, so he can bring back some of their memories. So that's why we have this. Not only that, the UAE, we have it a little bit long, and the reason behind it, some say that in the older days, the longer it is, the more your wife loves you.
Oh, how sweet.
Omani had it shorter. So I used to always joke when I go visit my auntie in Oman with the Omani cousins and friends. I said, well, if you want some love, come to the UAE. We laugh a lot about it. Of course, Kandora, white. We wear t-shirt underneath. And of course, we wear wizar, which is like the longi, if you know about the longi. So we wear the wizar. Why? Because of the heat. It's more about hygiene as well. Some of us, they will wear basically the boxer shorts as well. I know most of the people will look at this one and say, oh, what is this? This is gahfiya. Gahfiya basically where we wear all the time to go to the mosque, or as well we wear it underneath to hold the ghatra not to fall. You see the ghatra now, I'll wear it for you. This is how I'm gonna. The style that I did earlier, just wrap it around me, on my head that's around me, that is the Bedouin style. So this is the way how I wear it. The official look, this is how when I go to, it's like wearing a suit, formal, you know, it's official. So I'll wear it and I'll go to work. This is the way how I'm supposed to wear it. I know a lot of people that ask me, why do you wear this one? Think logically. Years ago, we didn't have roads, we didn't have streets, nothing. So basically we walk on the sand. So the sand blows all the time. Or if we travel on the camels on the desert, what we do, we have there, we have sandstorms. So this is why we have it. So we can prevent us from inhaling. It's like a mask.
Yes, indeed.
So that's why we wear this one. So that's why we have this gaf. this ghatra, we call it ghatra. And I know some of you as well says, oh, but why some of them, they wear the shmat, the red one, especially the Saudi. For us here, we wear it only in the winter because it's thicker material. Think logically, in Saudi Arabia, it's much cooler, colder in the winter, and it's much hotter in the summer than here. So basically, they need something more to protect them from the sun, sandstorms and everything. So that's why they came up with the red. However, there is a story behind it as well. Officials in the older days, they used to wear different colors so people recognize them. So basically, if you are in the military or in the police, you would wear red and white. If you are in the army, you would wear orange and white. You wear different colors so people recognize what your position and who you are as an official. So that's why they came up with that. I know a lot of people ask me, what about the agal? You see this agal? There's a reason behind it. In the older days, to own a camel is like you own a Ferrari today.
Really?
The camels are very expensive, as you notice, right? Some of them, the racing camels are very in the millions. And some of them are the farming one, they are affordable. You have to have a farm or land in the desert that you can put your own farm there and can produce camels, or even as well to breed, or also get their camel milk, because the camel milk is one of the best, especially for the bones, for the elderly or children. If you have any problems, I advise you to have the camel milk. So to own a camel, it's like you own a Ferrari. So of course, my grandfather traveling from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, now by car, it takes you 1 hour. My grandfather takes him 1 week.
Oh,
2 weeks.
really?
Yeah, 3 to 4 days sometimes. And he would use this one to not lose his camel, the same agal, and he'll tighten them, put it on the leg of the camel. It's like a padlock, so the camel won't run away.
Oh, I didn't know this. My goodness. I've learned so much from you, mashallah. It's a wonderful demonstration.
All our national clothes and everything. And I hope you enjoyed. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. I will let her to wrap it off. It was very nice talking to you and hosting us today. I hope you enjoyed your experience with us in the UAE, in Dubai. And of course, we always say with the bakhoor goodbye, and also we have our chai karak now and some of our dessert. Sherifa, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Rashid. Amazing, absolutely. I learned so much from both of you, mashallah. It's simply amazing.
Around in the background there, praying, etc. I've just actually put the gas fire on to put the charcoal, obviously, to because I've been cooking, and I don't put that on and burn bakhoor when I'm fasting. Obvious reasons. I don't want to inhale the smoke and break my fast.
By the way, my brother Vakar, he just said, great double act. Thank you so much.
Really? Oh, thank you.
You're an amazing host.
Smoke is just being heated up. My husband's just having his lovely cup of chai karak there with the rainbow milk in the corner. You know the chai karak, of course. It's a big popular one here. I love it. And this is something I wanted to just quickly show you without tipping it up. In the Majlis here, whenever you go, if you look at this, my sister-in-law gave me this huge box of chocolate, just for me and my husband to spend the whole month eating. If we have visitors to the house, it's a must to have something sweet in the house. And we have something else, it's called Ain Jamal, means eye of the camel. It's a little pastry and it's got caramel in. So you get lots of little sweets and treats in the Majlis when you go visiting in Ramadan to go along with the Arabic coffee and the chai karak. I think I pretty much covered everything that we wanted to. We had our list and we've been striking it off. If anyone wants some recipes, I'm very happy to email them for you if you want to put them up on the Facebook page.
Wow, that's a good
questions.
Yes. So if anybody wants any recipes,
I'm very happy to, if you've got questions that I'll write them and then you can post them back up onto the page for everybody. So if they want to continue wanting to know, because in the years that we've been presenting, I think we've got like 176 frequently asked questions as to why men, there are so many, why can a man have 4 wives, why does a woman walk behind, why do women pray behind men, and so forth. There's a lot to share, and we are obviously, as you can see, limited on the time, but thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our iftar and our Ramadan with you. I'm not going to eat while I'm talking on camera with my mouth full, so I will wait until we finish after. You want to come and say goodbye? My husband's going to come round and say goodbye as well to you. So I think we're on the time limit now for everybody, yes?
No, that's fine. What can I say? As my brother said, you've been an amazing double act, amazing host. And it's what I expected, live, showing us everything about Ramadan and your amazing variety of things, you know, showing the prayer, the wudu, your clothes.
Yeah, sorry for the camera work.
Yeah.
I wish we'd had a camera or something technical, but next year.
And even as a Muslim, I learned so much about the Emirati tradition, particularly about clothing, the use. And I love the way you showed us how women actually get the smell from bakhoor as well, garments and everything. It was amazing.
For their hair as well.
Yeah. Yeah. When you shower and everything, it's nice to perfume yourself. I always say that, like a lot of people, when you get ready for prayer, it's nice to put your clean prayer shayla on, perfume yourself, and you know, you present yourself before Allah, you communicate with him.
I've got another comment from Barbara, part of our team. She says, I have so enjoyed this, especially as it's been so homely. Many thanks. And Hanan, another member, Hanan hosted a wonderful Moroccan event, and she said, thank you, Sister Sherifa and Rashid, for sharing an amazing demonstrations. So you have rounded off our month of Ramadan Iftar. It's been amazing. I'm so grateful to you for bringing the experience of Muslims, our traditions of Iftar, Ramadan, to the global audience. So if anybody does have any questions, you can get in touch with us through hello@macfest.org.uk, and we will forward the question to Sister Sherifa. So I know you're both hungry, you'll want to eat soon. I want to also thank absolutely. And your amazing food. Pity we can't. We love
to come. Let's hope that we're in a world where we can be closer next time, or we can come to Manchester, or you're here.
Inshallah. In the future, we are hoping to have some MACFEST tours, maybe one day in Dubai. who
Definitely. We look forward to having you all here, and have a very beautiful Ramadan there in Manchester. And we wish you Eid Mubarak, inshallah, in advance. If we don't speak to you before then, that's another topic in itself, talking about what happens on Eid here.
Yeah, of course. So I want to thank now the rest of the team: Steve, Hajra, Mariam, Hanan, Barbara, everybody else who hosted. And Nick just left a bit earlier, and he thoroughly enjoyed. He put lots of lovely comments, and he's going to go back to the police force and tell them all about it. It's been a truly experience. And then, of course, I want to thank our audience, our guest, new guest, our guests who have followed us regularly. Thank you so much for giving us your time on Sunday. And finally, want to say these events are free, but donations are always welcome. And we have another event following in June. So we're giving you a bit of a break in May. So the next event is in Oldham. It's called MACFEST Oldham, and they're celebrating Saturday, 11 a.m. It's digital, so you can join us again. So everybody else, everybody who's here as part of the team, our wonderful hosts, Sherifa and Brother Rashid, thank you so much again. Assalamu alaikum.
You're welcome.
And Ramadan Kareem.
Salam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.